Hello, and welcome to the Unlock Your Life Purpose Summit. I am your host, Lorna Moon. Today, we are very blessed to have Yossi Ginsberg. He's an author, adventurer, entrepreneur, humanitarian, and speaker. And the man has an amazing story about how he found his purpose, and you just have to hear it. So welcome, Yossi.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you so much.
So, why don't you share? A lot of people may not be familiar with you. Some of our viewers are going to be from the States, and they may not know your incredible story, which I now know very well. So, why don't you share that with us and how you came to find your purpose?
Well, to share my story, we need we need a good couple of hours. The best way to invest these 2 hours is actually watch the movie.
Okay.
It's a Hollywood, the movie is called Jungle, one word, starring Daniel Radcliffe. So anybody that wants to know like the entire story can just hit Jungle on the browser, find out the movie and enjoy it. So I will give the gist of it.
Yes, you can just give us a teaser of it though. Then everyone will be dying to watch the 2-hour movie.
Yeah. Well, it starts with the theme of our conversation and this series, purpose. And purpose, like you can put different words, and for me, it will have the same meaning. And I say dream, I say vision, I say purpose. But what I mean is that something is on your mind and you know what you want to do and you have a reason, that's a very powerful place. To be without it is the most dangerous place. To be without a purpose, without vision, without a dream. It's very dangerous because you don't know where you're going. You're like a leaf in the wind. There's a rudderless. Yeah. So the aligning principle in life, is having a purpose or a vision or a dream. You can change the word, but the meaning is the same, that you know where you're going. I say that if you know where you're going, if you have a dream, if you have a purpose, if you have a vision, the rest is merely technical. Because then it's okay. I know I'm here. I know I want to go there. So now, how do we get there? This is technical, how to get there.
Yeah.
You'll make the steps, you'll find a way. But again, having the vision is not technical. And I will go back to my story, and instead of speaking generally about the topic. So my story is about a young boy that had a very powerful dream that accompanied him for years. And I read too many adventure books, but as I read the books, something happened to me. I started feeling withdrawn to the characters, like Scott, like Fawcett, like Shackleton, the great explorers. And I felt, I want to be like them. They inspire me. But what's true inspiration? You want to find your way inspired by such people that have done great things. You want to do your own great thing. You don't want to imitate or mimic or do what they did. So I've decided I'm going to do something totally original, worthy of a book. So, there's nothing more powerful than a naive mind. When you're young, you're naive. That naivete is a very powerful weapon because the naive doesn't have experience. The naive doesn't have enough education. The naive didn't fall enough time to get hurt and scarred and beaten and heartbroken. So the naive can dream freely. The imagination has wings that are not cut down by life experience. No cynicism, no skepticism. And the naive doesn't know what's impossible. For the naive, everything is possible. So my naive mind said, I'll choose a destination. And I chose the Amazon. It sounds more appealing to me than the North or South Pole where it's freezing cold. I said, this is an exotic destination. I had no clue. I was like in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, just a regular kid. And I thought I'm going to be an explorer of the Amazon. And then I started imagining what does it mean. And I imagined it in the simplest way, you know, like I said, well, Amazon, it has to be uncharted Amazon because I'm an explorer.
Yes.
And uncharted Amazon means a tribe that never saw culture before. I'm going to be the explorer that is the first one to come into the tribe, and then I'm going to befriend them, and they're going to adopt me. I'm going to be one of them. Then they're going to train me. I'm going to be initiated as a warrior and a hunter. I'm going to be one of them. And then, naturally, I'm going to fall in love with the daughter of the chief.
Of course.
Of course. Of course.
I love it.
But even that wasn't enough, because no, one element was still missing. I have to find the treasure. Either a lost treasure, you know, like El Dorado, something from ancient culture, or maybe a natural treasure like golds or diamonds or emeralds. And then I'm going to have it all. I'm going to be the head of the tribe, married to the daughter of the chief. I'm going to be famous and rich and etc. So this is a kid dreaming. However, there's two types of dreamers. You know, some people, the people without a purpose, they dream to escape life. Mm-hmm. They don't live the lives they want. So out of frustration, they dream. And this dream is called escapism. Mm-hmm. We dream to escape reality. But there's another type of dreamer. The dreamer I'm talking about is the dreamer that with the dream set up the blueprint for life itself. With the dream, you create reality. So those are the two types of dreamers. One should ask themselves, which am I? Because it's easier to be the first one.
Yes.
To be doomed to mediocrity and regret on when you look back at your life, you know, you never regret what you do, what you did. So, you know, we have to remember also one thing that I want to say. When you read books and you decide that you realize that you write also a book with your life, you write your autobiography. Mm-hmm. That's the book each one of us write. When you have that realization, it comes with a duty. You cannot write your book and not be the protagonist of the story. You cannot write yourself as a side character. If you write your book, you better write yourself as the hero. And if you're a hero, it comes with some duties. You have to behave like a hero. And the first thing that a hero has to do is to meet the obstacles. And when fear rises, to choose to be courageous instead of turning and running, you know? Mm-hmm. Meet your fears, meet your obstacles. That's part of the journey of the hero. So those decisions, you know, like that's the beginning of having a strong purpose. You have to build a base for that. I kept dreaming for years, but at the moment that I could, which means at the age of 21, because our duties here in this little country, Israel, is beyond high school. There's another thing that is compulsory, which is this military service. Mm-hmm. So when I finished my duties, I was 21 years old. Without hesitating, I set myself on this adventure. I worked for 1 year just to save money in remote places, such as in Norway, in the freezing cold, a fishing season in Alaska. Mm-hmm. And only then I managed to get to South America. And finally, I found my adventure, because the nature of purpose, the nature of dream is like that. In the beginning, as opposed to common idea that when you wish for something, the entire universe is going to conspire to help you. From my experience, the entire universe is going to conspire to resist you. Okay? So the bigger the dream, the bigger the resistance to the dream, the bigger the obstacles.
Wow.
And there's a good reason for that. And I don't know the reason actually, but I would say it's a law. It's a physical law, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the third law of thermodynamics by Newton, which says whenever a force goes in one trajectory, the same force is going to come and meet it exactly in the opposite trajectory. So when one power is applied in one way, immediately the same power comes to meet it and oppose it. Okay? So when you have a dream, the bigger the dream, the bigger the obstacle that you're going to meet, because that's the nature of life itself. For example, if you want to climb the Everest, well, you're going to pay with a lot of pain. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of resistance. That's a big ambition. And as much as that ambition, the obstacle will rise. You will have to risk your life. Maybe you will even die. But anyway, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah. It's not, the universe is not going to conspire to help you and build an inclinator for you so you can just ride to the top. No, you're going to have to sweat and train and risk. So this is the nature of dream. You have to work for them. But also, when you understand purpose, you understand that only purpose gives you a reason to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay? Without purpose, why sacrifice? You just stay in the comfort zone, which is the most dangerous place you can possibly be. The comfort zone is where life dies. Yeah. But only purpose will take you out of your comfort zone. Without purpose, why bother? Because I tell you what's the dangerous thing about not having a purpose, Lorena. If you don't have a purpose, you have a default purpose that awaits you. Everybody has a purpose. But if you don't choose your purpose, you live by the default purpose. And the default purpose is the worst purpose possible. It's a natural purpose. That's why it's the default one. And I'll tell you what's the default purpose. The default purpose is avoid pain as much as possible and gain your pleasure as much as possible. Okay? That's default. Okay? Everything that I don't like, I don't want. Everything that I like, I deserve, and I have to have it, and I want as much as possible. That's the default purpose. Now, there's nothing more wrong than the default purpose. The default purpose is all pain and all misery, and I'll explain why. Because the truth is that you cannot avoid your pains. You cannot avoid your pain. But if your purpose is to avoid pain, then you have misery. Why? Because you have pain and unacceptance of pain. The unacceptance of pain turn the pain into suffering. Not only that you have pain, now you have suffering. What is suffering? Is the resistance to pain, not accepting the pain. Now you have to accept pain because you have no choice. No matter who you are, pain will come to you. Everybody gets their pain. The best strategy to deal with pain is to host it until it leaves. You cannot avoid pain. Trying to avoid pain turns pain into suffering. So that's one side of the equation. I show you how terrible it is to have a default purpose of not having pain or trouble or adversity. The other side is even worse. To try and gain pleasure and hold onto them is impossible because the nature of phenomena is transient. Okay? So even if pleasure comes to you, the pain of seeing it leaves is greater than having the joy. So pain becomes greater pain and joy becomes pain.
Wow.
When you have a default purpose of, which is the natural default purpose, most people are not even aware of the default purpose. That's the nature of it, but they operate by the default purpose. The only people that don't operate on this default are people with purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's, that's how important it is to have purpose. If you don't have purpose, I suggest choose one quickly. It doesn't have to be big and dramatic one. Just have a purpose just to get out of the default purpose. Then change it to have a meaningful one. But to begin with, don't walk through life without a purpose. It's dangerous.
Ooh.
Okay. So I found my adventure. As I say, the best thing is to read my book, or even better, just watch the movie and get the entire story. But the gist of it is, I did find the Uncharted. I bargained. I mean, I got much more than I bargained for. I lost all my friends. In the midst of a rainy season, I found myself alone in the uncharted Amazon. And for 3 weeks, I was alone without any weapon, no gun, no knife, no food, no fire. And it was storms and rains and floods. And I faced the elements. By facing the elements in the beginning, naturally, when I lost all my friends and all my equipment, I was hundreds of miles away from civilization. And initially, I felt that I'm victim of very cruel circumstances. My lifelong dream turned into my worst nightmare. And I felt not only that I'm a victim of terrible circumstances, I thought probably on the entire planet Earth, there's no greater victim than myself. Nobody can be in worse circumstances than me, stuck alone in a rainy season in the midst of the Amazon without any equipment or any knowledge. So a few days later, when I was already, 5 days into my journey, I had an encounter with a deadly snake. Not deadly, the deadliest of snakes in the Amazon. The snakes that on a bite kills. But
Wow.
if it doesn't bite, the snake can spit the venom and blind you.
Oh my
Very
God.
dangerous snake. Yeah. So it was on a tree when I was trying to reach for a fruit. And that very moment when the snake contracted and set itself, like towards me, at that very split second, actually, there is no time for any plans. You cannot decide what you gonna do. It's at that split second, the body itself comes to life, the organism. And the things that happened were, for me, incredible. I jumped off the tree. I found a stick. I climbed back on the tree, started chasing the snake on the tree. I hit the snake. I jumped again off the tree. I took a rock, one shot to the head. Then I picked it up. Then I peeled its skin. Then I peeled its guts. And then I put my teeth into its raw flesh.
Wow.
Now I'm standing under a tree and I'm chewing the deadliest snake in the Amazon. I'm eating it, not the other way around. And I'm asking myself, because my entire body is throbbing, with tremendous power. My mind is like ice, completely cold. My emotions are in total balance, and my spirit is high. In fact, I never felt so good in my life. So what happened? What happened is a very simple thing. I was in extreme survival circumstances, and in extreme survival circumstances, the body gets activated. And all your faculties, which are physical faculty, mental faculty, emotional faculty, spiritual faculty, they all kick in, burst, and lace themselves on one clear purpose: save life.
Wow.
You get so much power at this moment. It's an awakening. So after that moment, I realized something. And what I realized is that, victim is a state of mind. Adversity is not a state of mind. Trouble, pain, difficulties, tragedies, all kinds of things that come to meet us, they're not a state of mind. What happens, happens. But to be a victim, it's a choice. It's not the situation that makes you a victim. No situation can make you a victim. A victim is your decision. You don't have to be a victim. So I never been a victim again, because I understand that's my choice to be a victim or not. And I dealt with the circumstances. Again, we want to talk about something else, so I'll just wrap it up. After 3 weeks, one of my friends that made it came with natives and that found him. And they searched for me and they found me 3 weeks after, since the accidents that we had in the river. I went to this tribe that saved both me and my friend. And I stayed with them for 3 years. I became one of the tribe. I became a Uchupiamona. I became a hunter and a warrior. And I did get married, but she wasn't the daughter of the chief.
She wasn't the daughter of the chief.
But I did get married. She was my girlfriend. I brought her from Jerusalem.
Okay.
But I married her in a native shamanic ceremony.
Wow.
There in the middle of the Amazon. And I built a resort that operates until this very day in a lagoon, not far from the river. Anybody that wants to see that incredible, miraculous resort that transformed completely the life of this tribe, the Chupiamona, we'll give them the resource, but the name is Chalalan, phonetically.
Chalalan.
Chalalan.com. And you can see the resort that we built. So what I want to say, you know, I did find my tribe deep in the uncharted. I did become one of them. Today I'm actually the ambassador of the Chupiamona people to the world. It's a very small tribe, only 850 people. I'm one of them, okay? And so the power of purpose, the power of dream, especially if you're naive, because if you're not naive, you sabotage the purpose because you doubt it. You know, things happen because the force of your mind is so amazing that if you cast the force of your mind on reality, then there is give and take. As I say, reality will fight back, you know, because that's the nature of it. That's a physical law. It's not personal. You shouldn't give up. It's not against you. That's simply the way things work. Wow. So if you're wise enough to understand that and you keep on going, and you know, you mold reality, you create reality, because that's the meaning of being a human being. You know, the meaning of a human being is that we are able to be creators. We are the only animals that when it was created, according to the myth, the creator said, you are special. I'm going to make you in my image and my liking. You're going to be like me. Mm-hmm. What does it mean, like me? Like the creator, we have a force of creation. Without a purpose, you cannot create anything. You can just stay in that comfort zone, which is the place of misery. So purpose is the aligning principle of life. Purpose is our gift as human beings.
Wow. You have said like so many good things. I'm like writing them down. I'm like, wow, this is like, wow. So 3 years then you stayed in the Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got married there. And your wife she liked it. She loved it there as well.
She did love it. And she was amazing. But she was my, you know, I got married a few times. I like getting married. You know? So.
I've had 3 husbands. I'm not judging. Yeah. And I've had 3 and I don't have one right now. So no judgment.
No, of course. On the contrary, you and I believe in marriage.
Yes.
That's what it means. We believe in the marriages. Me too. So my life has become a service of life itself, you know, like after this experience, you know, I understood what purpose is. And I worked in different parts, you know, purpose is not one thing. You can change your purpose. The importance of purpose that you must have one. Mm-hmm. You cannot walk without purpose is really dangerous. But you can change purpose from time to time and dedicate yourself to whatever you decide that is your dream, your vision, your purpose. But then I started working and trying to understand the mechanism of it and, you know, like the laws of it and how it works. And then I started teaching it. And you know, like I think that's one of the highest purpose is
teach.
Because, the thing is that I'll give you a little story from the Amazon, from my experience, just another one. after 14 days, a huge flood came and washed me. Yeah. After 17 days, I was trying to find my way to the river. Without the river, you're totally lost. Since the flood pushed me to the hills, I was like crawling in the mud, trying to find the river. So I have orientation. On the way, suddenly I heard a noise and realized it's an airplane. So the airplane was like so high and moved so fast that within seconds, the airplane disappeared. That surge of hope killed me, you know. I was very, you know, like 17 days I dealt with it, but that's 1 second of hope was too much to bear. I couldn't take it. And I broke down and I gave up on my purpose to do everything to stay alive. And I decided on a different purpose. I want to die, because in death, I'll find some comfort. I'll be able to rest. Okay? I couldn't take it anymore. I gave up. It was 17 days. You know, when I gave up, I was lying there in the mud without any motivation to move anymore. When suddenly I heard a cry, this was so bizarre. I was there alone for 17 days. Suddenly I heard a cry. I listened, and it sounded like there was a young woman somewhere crying. So I raised my head and I heard the cry and I looked for her, and then I saw her. When I saw her, immediately I had a realization. What the hell are we doing? We are wasting our time crying. But if this airplane that passed is going to turn and come back, actually there's still a chance we're going to be saved. So what we need to do now is just run to the river so we can wave. So I started screaming at her, get up, there's no time to. And I picked her up, and for 2 entire days, all I did is taking care of her. I took care of her until the second night, you know, when I made a little camp and I told her, come closer so we can withdraw warmth from each other. I realized there was nobody there. There was no girl.
Wow.
There was no girl. So you can say it was, you know, I say, you know, it was imagination. Till this very day, I don't know whose imagination was it, because I didn't make it up. So if it was imagination, it wasn't mine. I didn't say I didn't say in my mind, how about let's pretend there's somebody here.
Yeah.
So if it was imagination, I still don't know whose imagination was it. But she wasn't real. But what was real, and that's what I wanted to say. When you don't have power to help yourself anymore, you will find power to help somebody else.
Yes.
True power is revealed to us when we give it to others, not when we give it to ourselves. When we give it to ourselves, power is limited. When we give it to another, we get much more power. When we give it to more people, then we become giants, you know?
Wow.
The nature of power is like you have to give it. So that's why I'm addicted to giving it, because it's very rewarding to give to others. That's actually the most rewarding thing, the most empowering thing is to, you know, and that's the journey that one goes through in life.
Wow. Would you,
So
I
I
would
took it.
say that was divine
Please.
intervention. Don't you think it was divine intervention?
I have no doubt it was divine intervention.
Divine intervention. It's like, no, God, you can't give up yet. You are needed. And so if we have to have this guardian angel who's a damsel in distress, who needs your help to come down, then we'll do it, right?
That's right. No, I completely, that's how I feel. I know this was one, but there were enough to convince me, and I could not rationalize it. You know, in looking back, I could not just say, oh, you know, you were in that situation. No, I don't, you know, what I've experienced is real. And you know, I don't believe in divine intervention because I've experienced it. I know for a fact it exists. There is divine intervention. There's no question about it. And when you know that, you also can harness it. that divine intervention. It can be harnessed.
Wow. That's incredible. So what else have you harnessed it for?
Well, look, my life was dedicated mainly to exploration, but I traveled the world for about 30 years as a nomad, from country to country all around the world. Every place I went, I became one with the people, learned the language, married a local, and got involved in work either with the community or in business. And at the same time, I was always looking for a shaman, or like always looking for a spiritual aspect, because I had a thirst to be touched again by that divine intervention. When you're touched by it, you want it again, and that's dangerous, that longing for it.
Yeah.
And that longing pulled me, and like for many years I went from like one, like from Buddhism to Hinduism to all the religions to shamanism, and to like to different workshops with people like Stanislav Grof, for example, the holotropic breath, anything that would open and give me that taste, because what I wanted is an experience, not an intellectual explanation of something.
Yeah.
But after a while, I understood that I'm just, like I'm just like basically nurturing an addiction, like I want another hit.
Yeah.
And I let go of it, but it's a very, strong part of me, and I was exposed enough time, and I know it's there. And, I did different experiences, from treating opiate addicts for 6 years of my life, and working in the Amazon with conservation and sustainable development. And I wrote 2 books and published 2 music albums, and I was in different businesses. I have a huge passion for technology. I spent a few years in developing startups, and I was in Silicon Valley. Like I really believe in technology. But my core is, like that development and understanding of life and purpose. And what I do in the last years, I teach it to others in different forms. One form, I'm doing keynotes in major corporations. I open conferences all over the world. I should say in the past tense, because there's no flights and no conferences, and who knows when they come back.
Yeah.
But for many years, I was at the top tier of that profession of traveling the world. And it's a really noble profession, and sometimes just one word, one idea can spark something, inspire somebody, can enlighten somebody even. And I did it with like full humility, like I never talk to people as if I know and I teach them. I just share my own experiences, and I'm always the first to listen to myself. I need the inspiration, so I'm a carrier of this inspiration, and it's first consumer. And in the last year, I started developing a course where I escort people on a journey. I call it the adventure. And that adventure is basically a 9 months process in 3 installments of 3 months. And each 3 months, the first 3 months is building, first of all, understanding survival. Understanding survival is very important. I'll just say it very quickly. Survival has 2 forms. One is real and one is imaginary. As I described before, the real survival turns you immediately into a superhero. When all your faculties are at their top and aligned, you feel the best you ever felt, and you have more power, you're more at balance, because life is very efficient. You cannot have worries or fears, because it will not serve the purpose of surviving. So all your faculties are just focusing on one thing, and you become just, like amazing. Basically, I would say survival is peak performance. As simple as that. Survival is peak performance. That's real survival. However, not real survival, which means, the mind doesn't know the difference. As I don't know if you experience, for example, laughter yoga.
Laughter
if
yoga,
you
no.
do, my friend actually found that movement. But what you do in laughter yoga, you laugh with no reason.
I
You
love
just
it.
laugh.
I love
And
it.
after you laugh for a few minutes, you start feeling amazing, even though actually you have no reason to laugh. It's just
Yeah.
mechanic. But the mind start building up all the notions that come with the well-being of laughter is good for you, even though you have no reason to laugh. The mind doesn't know the difference. You laugh, the mind believes you're in a superb,
That's great.
so the same also with survival. If you worry enough, you give the signals to the mind that the situation is real and you're in a survival situation. The body kicks in, but actually there is no snake. There is no jungle. Your fridge is full of food. Your bed is ready with a blanket. There is no survival circumstances, but what happens then? Unused survival becomes anxiety and stress, and it's
Yeah.
much more dangerous than real survival. Imaginary survival actually kills more than any disease because it's the basis of disease.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So then I work on that, and then I work about building resilience. For me, resilience means happiness. Resilience is happiness, and I will explain. Happiness is what everybody wants. You ask, what do you want? I want to be happy. Okay. That's terrible, because it's wanting to be happy suggests you are not happy.
Yeah.
The Constitution is saying every person has the right to pursue happiness. That's a terrible declaration, because it means if you pursue happiness, it means you're not happy now.
Yeah.
And there is something about now, because there is no other moment.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. There is no future. There is no past. If you are to be happy, it has to be now, because there is no other moment. And if your idea of happiness is that when everything works my way and everything gets aligned the way I want, then I'll be happy, that's delusion, illusion, and you'll never be happy. And that's frustration.
Yeah.
So if you want to be happy, I suggest instead of happiness, start pursuing happiness. Instead of happiness, pursue happiness.
Happiness.
Which is, happiness is much better than happiness. Happiness, which is, I don't think it yet in the English dictionary, but this word means I'm happy now with what happens now, because there is no other moment. And how can you be happy now? By building resilience. What is resilience? Never a victim, no matter what the circumstances. So even in tough situation, if you're balanced and you do the right thing, as in the snake story, I never felt so good in my life. That's true happiness. Being there and doing the right thing, being balanced and aligned. So that's called resilience. So I'm working on building that resilience. That's the first stage. The second stage is from resilience to prosperity. One of the worst things about our life, which is the tragedy of humanity, which becomes the tragedy of the planet, is that we believe that we live in scarcity.
Yeah.
That's belief is very dangerous, because when we say seeing is believing, it's actually a wrong expression. The right expression is believing is seeing.
Yeah.
What you believe becomes the reality. So when you believe in scarcity, the world believes, a paradigm means mass belief. When a lot of people or the mass believes in something, that's what creates reality.
Yeah.
Now, scarcity is a very dangerous belief, because scarcity suggests there is not enough for you and I. And that means that I have to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So, but in reality, there is enough for all of us. We live in a reality of abundance. We just believe in scarcity. So I work on that. I work on changing that perception of scarcity and move it and to abundance. And also I explain what competition means. A lot of people, and believes that competition means a winner and a loser. But that's wrong. That's wrong, because if you look at the word competition in the dictionary and you look at the source of it, the source is Latin. And the source is to strive together. That's what it means. Competition means we all become better. We all win. And if you
We're all
think
going.
about it, yeah, true competition brings everybody up. Nobody is losing. Like in an Olympic race, the ones that arrived last actually didn't lose because they broke their personal record.
Yeah.
So they didn't win the race, but they ran the fastest they ever ran in their life.
Yeah.
They're not losers, they're winners. Everybody in a real competition, everybody benefits. In a competition where based on scarcity, we don't have a choice but to hurt each other, kill the competition.
Yeah.
Outsmart the competition, you know?
Yeah.
That's our culture. We teach our children from a very young age, we teach them scarcity. You have to be better. You have to be a winner, which means somebody has to lose for you to win. That's a very sad world that we have created. So I work on that. And then the last part of my program is about legacy. That's about purpose. What is purpose? And I'll just say that there is a beautiful story called the Never Ending Story. You know, it's in the Never Ending Stories. There's a boy called Sebastian. He reads the book, and in a certain moment, he discovers that he's actually inside the book. He's suddenly inside that world that he was reading about, very much like my dreams about adventure. And then there is that necklace with a talisman.
Yeah.
And whoever wears that talisman has the power to get whatever they want. But there is a lion there next to him, a lion named Grogaman. And the lion tells him, that's the hardest thing in the world, to know what you really want.
That's so true.
Yeah. So to find what is your true calling, what is your true purpose, what is the legacy, what is your gift for all of us, because each one of us has a gift for all of us. And so that's you know that's about purpose and legacy. And yeah, as you know, I would love to invite any of your audiences to contact me and check me out and to be in touch. If people have more questions, they want to know more about me, about my stories, about my work, I'm happy to give the email or my website. And thank you for making this for making me your guest and inviting me to spontaneously speak about purpose.
Yes, thank you so much. You've shared so much wisdom here. I've written like a whole page of notes. You can't tell because my bright light here. I've written a bunch of things that you've said down because there's just so many profound nuggets of wisdom in here, and I know that so many people are going to get so much out of what you shared, and I know that I'm going to be able to also help share this information because the way you've laid it out there and the way that your life has allowed you to find your purpose and the wisdom from that is just, it's, you know, it's unique, it's priceless, and you definitely have a gift. So,
and that's the treasure. So I want to say I found my treasure as well. Not only the jungle, not only the daughter, but also the treasure. This is Lorena, what you said. That's the treasure that I found.
Well, I'm going to put a button right here below this video so anyone who's watching can get to your website and can reach out and find out more about what you're doing, watch the movie, get in touch, you know, hop on board with your program so they can learn directly from you because you have so much to share. Thank you so much.
It's really my pleasure. Thank you, Lorena.
Okay.